morning. Good morning. Hey, listen. That your music is, as I always say, it is everything. It gets me in the mood. Okay, it doesn't help the fact that I was out dancing last night. I really, really. Well, it was my class reunion. It was the meet and greet, and then it just so happened it's in the same venue as the after party for Chicago Steppers. So I did that. I had a good time. My feet not hurting, so that means I can do a repeat today. But I digress. Listen, you are welcome. We thank you for being here and joining us this Saturday morning on Detroit in Black and White. Good morning, family. If you're watching Detroit in Black and White, you already know what we want you to do about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. What do we want you to do? We want you to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. We're going to make sure that we give you a shout out in the comment section. If you want to make a comment in the comment section, you feel welcome to do so. You can also come into the room. You can use that link and come on into the room. But let me do this. Let me introduce the co-host of Detroit in Black and White. We have, now they used to call me the stuff starter, but see, I think he started a whole lot of mess. Mr. Jim Nardone, the former chief. The former chief of the Trenton Police Department. Good morning, Jim Nardone.
Good morning. I'm just trying to get educated. Good morning, Kenneth Reed, Janet Overall, Stephanie Jackson. Good to see you guys out there. Our friend Marlon Holt, Derek Henry, Duela. I think I got them all, Deborah.
Kenneth Reed says he was on his way to McShane's. We had a last-minute change, so we apologize for that.
And that's
that
because
deep voice that we hear, you know, he took a tour of the East Side, and so we gave him the name of East Side Al.
I'm on the East Side all the time.
Allan Lengel, Deadline Detroit, and Washington Post. Good morning.
Good morning.
Allan Lengel. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, hello to Felicia and Leonard.
Right. So
Janet.
What I want to do before you start, Allan, is this. We want to thank each and every one of you guys for spending your Saturday mornings with us. We want to thank you for spending your Wednesday and Friday evenings with us. We know that there are some other things that you could do, but you decided to join us. And more importantly, we want to thank you guys for sharing our show, because we have new family members. We have people joining in the chat all the time, people that we're not familiar with. So we want to say thank you. And Kenneth, thank you so much for being a faithful family member of Detroit in Black and White. All right, go ahead, Al.
I want to say to Kenneth for coming out there. Next time you come out, breakfast is on Detroit in Black and White. We'll take care of you. Or at least I will.
I was just getting ready to say, you don't speak for me. I'm not spending the money on Kenneth Reed and nobody else.
I will. I'm all in on Kenneth. Kenneth's
on us next time. But yeah, so last night near the end of the show, we started talking about housing and what can be done in the city of Detroit to enforce better housing and stuff like that. So we were talking about, and hopefully there have been some corrective measures taken since they've been embarrassed and humiliated. But the Millender Center, which is now called Millie on Brush, across from the Ren-Sen, was really a premier place. And Fox 2 did a report about rats and all that stuff in there. One guy said he was in the penthouse paying $4,000 a month. Another woman said she was paying $2,000 a month, and it's real money. I mean, no matter what you're paying, if you're renting something, it should be clean, it should be rat-free, it should be roach-free, and So, anyways, here is the. I'm going to play the Fox 2 reports. This is a little bit ago, like over more than a week ago. So, I think the city has responded to this report.
Well, they say they were promised luxury living, but have a rat infestation instead. And that's not all. Fox News' Amy Lang joins us with more on what's happening at one specific location in downtown Detroit. Amy.
Well, Ruth, the Melly on Brush, it is right downtown. It is a great location, but some of the residents say the conditions inside are far from fine. And they have serious concerns ranging from sanitation to the smell to safety and security.
Whoa, look at this.
Last night.
Rats in the video.
Now we've been finding rats running in the lobby, running at people. I have a dog, so that's very concerning. It's definitely the trash is the main thing. Even if you were to walk into the lobby right now, it constantly has this smell of just, I don't even know, purely horrid smell.
Next door to you?
Yes.
And there's no door handles?
Nope, you can just walk right in.
And people are going in there?
Yes.
Who's going in there?
A lot of, unauthorized people, I'm assuming homeless people. I have on many instances of them through my Ring camera. One of them even peed on my front door.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the management company, when they were confronted initially by Fox 2, they said, city came by, we got a good report, which was not true. I think it's Village on the Greens that owns it. And, to me, this is what good journalism is about. When you're exposing something, when the management won't do something, and Fox 2 stepped in and exposed that, and the city got involved, and hopefully there have been some corrective measures taken. But
well, you know what? I would say, first of all, it poses a serious health hazard. One. Two, I would say that if you're living downtown, especially off of the river, you're going to expect some field mice. You're going to expect some rats trying to run in. But the fact that they're not doing anything about it, or have not done anything about it, and the fact that they've made it all the way up to the penthouse, those some traveling rats. There is no way in the world anybody should be paying anything to stay in that doggone place. I would say that, there's a lot of senior housing downtown, right down off the river. I wonder how many problems do they have with rat infestation, roach infestation, just infestation, period. It's really unfortunate because, like you said, I don't care if you're paying $5 or $5,000. That's not what you bargained for. That is that you bargained for living in a place that's clean, that's rodent free, pest, roach free, right? And, you want to experience downtown. So I think it's ridiculous, but
I'll tell you how some of that, when I lived in DC, I lived in the same apartment building 14 years. I lived on the 7th floor in a nice part of DC. It was a really good neighborhood, but we had a mouse, my last month there, suddenly there was a mouse. I was sitting typing one night about 11:30 and I see a mouse running across the kitchen counter. And I immediately I went downstairs and I went to the front desk and I said, "Hey, is there a mouse problem?" And the woman pulls out a sheet. It was like 8 apartments. And she says, "Yeah." And what was happening was that the mice were climbing through the wall and there were gas stoves. Mm-hmm. So there's holes in the wall for the pipes, and they were climbing through. So they ended up, stuffing Brillo pads or something in those holes and stuff like that. But you wonder how these rodents or whatever get that high up, but usually they're running through the walls and stuff.
Well, the other thing that we have to think about is this: if you're talking about rat infestation or mice or roaches, when you live in a complex, like I live in a complex, you live in a complex, you don't know how your neighbor is living. You don't know if they have bed bugs, roaches, or whatever, because you don't know how what they're doing inside their apartments. That's why it's important for the management company to do their job, to go in, do an inspection. If your living habits are not great, then get the hell out, because what you're doing is you're putting everybody in jeopardy. And I think it's ridiculous that you said that the management company said that they had addressed the problem when in fact they had not. Is that what you said?
Yeah. They were saying, we've got a great report, and it wasn't true. And then the management company was mad that they were exposed on Fox 2, which is like tough luck.
Who owns the building though?
It's a Village Green. It's a
Village Green.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a property. You know, they own a lot of properties all around.
Oh yeah, they own the Water's Edge at Harbor Town.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
so
Lincoln Park and Southgate.
I'm sorry if you can't afford to fix up a place properly, then don't rent it out. Give it to somebody else. There are people who do great jobs of renting property. I mean, they fix up their properties and they rent them out, and they're very responsive if something happens. And then, I've read reviews all around in the city of Detroit on some properties where property management people have had flooding in there, and nobody responds for a day or two. I mean, that's totally unacceptable. And what people were asking, what can they do? And I was saying, the city has to enforce that, and they have to go to their city council members and go to the ombudsman if they're not getting responses. But they deserve to live in a decent place, regardless of what you're paying, regardless of what neighborhood it is.
Yeah. Jim, you said Village Green has apartment in Southgate.
Southgate, Lincoln Park, and through that area. They've been popular for 50 years down here.
Right.
Two things. First, I want to touch on our viewers. The ceiling was falling in never. Duela. Court order. The owners should live there until it's resolved. Marlon, thank you, Marlon. What's the name? And it's Village Green, Mr. 1213. Give new meaning to the old saying, a plague upon your house. Terry McCrimmon, good to see you out there, Terry. The former Millender Center is now known as the House of Ben. Kenneth Reed. Thank you, Kenneth. Sorry about this morning. Circumstances beyond our control. And it is very disturbing. Duela is appalled. G Bunny said, good morning. Good morning to you. He's talking about, he was at the Godfrey yesterday and thought about us. We planned on being out down there, but we couldn't make it. Last minute change. We apologize. Vanessa McKenzie's annual bash is tomorrow at the McKenzie Field. Thank you, G Money, for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of our show. Two things. Allan, absolutely right. Great journalism. You appreciate it. Kudos to the news agency that spent time trying to protect the citizens of Detroit. But I'm going to take it a step further, and you just touched on it, Allan. You kind of stole my thunder, but this is why we have government, all right? This is why we have police and fire and health departments. This is on the government to hold these people accountable. This is why we pay taxes. They need to be there, and they need to resolve this problem, or they need to shut it down and find a place for these folks to live until they do resolve it. But this is why we have government. This is the role of government, and government needs to step up, and that's the city of Detroit. It's the health department. We lived through the Lafayette, Coney Island debacle with the if anybody saw those videos, sickening.
But you know what? And people still go there and eat. I don't understand that, but anyway.
And we know there's rats in Detroit. There's rats in every big city. But here's the deal, right? You need to put your grease in the right place. You need to put your waste in the right place. You need to put your spoiled food items in the right place. And that's the government's job, to make sure these restaurants, and we know a lot of it's coming from restaurants, right? But it's the government's role, and they need to step up. And why didn't they say it's the city's responsibility? And maybe Fox 2 did. I didn't see the whole story.
They did. The city did respond to it.
And what did the city say?
Well, at the time of the report, it said the city was trying to do some enforcement there. So
I touched on these senior buildings, and Janet overall said senior buildings have problems. Residents are afraid to call authorities because you know what? They won't have nowhere else to go. And I've been in some of these senior buildings right downtown. I will use the word interesting to describe the conditions. I will say that I wouldn't want my loved ones or my non-loved ones, people I don't know. I just think that some of those living conditions are deplorable. I'm talking about just the base level of the building, so I can imagine what the units look like. And we know, as Jim said, this is responsibility of the government. A lot of these buildings are subsidized by the government. What the heck are you guys doing? Nothing. And these people like Village Green and these other folks that own these buildings, listen, maybe you need to stop paying rent.
But
Maybe
there's
you need to
also
stop paying rent, you
yeah,
know?
right. There's also security issues there where people were wandering into the building. That one woman had a video of a guy taking a leak in the hallway.
Mhm.
People were working in the apartment, and that's another issue in the city of Detroit. In some places where people, parking structures don't work, they're having secure parking, but the parking door or whatever isn't working. People are going in there. People are walking into the buildings. I mean, that's another issue. If you're in the city, you should have a secure building where people just can't wander in and,
Well, Terry
Should we take a
McCrimmon,
break?
yeah, I'm gonna say this. Terry McCrimmon says St. Clair Shores used to have a big rat problems a few years ago. Warren as well, Warren, Michigan as well. And that was reported on the news. We're going to take a break. Detroit Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
We're back. Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition with Jim Nardone, Allan, Lengel, and myself, Vanessa Moss, who will be your next Wayne County probate judge. Yes, shameless plug. But listen, by the time, because you showed that the video, from Fox 2, you cannot tell me that those people that managed that property did not know about that rat infestation. The people, I'm sure, notified them by mail, probably email. They got some automated generated response. I'm sure those people called the city building safety engineering department, and usually by the time you call the media, it's your last resort. It should have never got to that. So for me, when I see that they're showing this on television, that says that, hey, the management company dropped the ball. Hey, the city dropped the ball. So, hey, we're going to bring it to the media's attention, and now they're going to do something about it. You cannot tell me that people have not called. We know that.
Look, if you walk into the lobby and the lobby has a strong odor and rats are running through the lobby, there's management on the scene there. It's a huge building. People knew about it. They just were very laissez-faire about how addressing that. I mean, you get an exterminator in, you see, like, what the problem with Lafayette Coney Island was the foundation was cracked. And even after they got shut down the first time and they cleaned up everything, the foundation still wasn't fixed properly and rats were still coming in. And so hopefully now they've fixed the foundation, but they said they had an exterminator after the first time they got shut down. But you have to, these buildings are old, the infrastructure. And that's the other thing. A lot of companies don't want it. Why should they invest in infrastructure when they're making profit? So infrastructure costs a lot of money, including elevators. Elevators are breaking down all the time.
Talk to me about elevators. I live in a high rise, and I had a fit. I've had to walk 21 flights.
Wow, that's crazy.
And let me say this: what I found out, because I'm one of those people who will make the complaints and will make the phone calls. Do you know in the state of Michigan, people who fix elevators is a lost art? It's a skilled trade, right? As of 2 years ago, we had less than 40 people in the state of Michigan that work on elevators. So it takes a long time. They used to have, back in the day, people would stay on the properties to fix the elevators. But you have, less than 40 people in Michigan. They have to travel around to fix those elevators. But when you're talking about a situation like, I live on 21, I have a neighbor who is wheelchair bound. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens and he needs to go to the doctor, how the heck is he supposed to get downstairs?
Right.
So, of course, when I go down there and fuss, you know, you get a different response, right? I don't do a flex. I just say I'm Vanessa Moss. I'm a resident here. But that should not be that, you know, and this is a plug for those people who are interested in making a good living, because I've talked to the elevator guys. They was like, look, they're always looking for people to get into this trade, and they make very good money. But when, you know, that's one of the things that when you're living in a high rise, the elevators are going to go down. But in terms of the cleanliness of the place, that should not be. In terms of bugs and rats, that should not be. Now, if you got, like I said, if these people were doing what they were supposed to do, the property management company, they're not even going in looking in apartments. How in the heck do you have an apartment with no door lock and somebody urinating in the lobby, or somebody doing their business in an apartment? That sounds like what was that New Jack? That sound like to me. That sounds crazy. And I'm paying $4,000. Get the heck out of here. No way. No way.
Yeah, it's shameful. And that's one of the nicer buildings, you know. I mean, we're talking. If you read reviews on some of the buildings and some of the nicer places in Midtown, downtown, some of the management's great. The building I live in, the management's great, but there are so many reviews where people say my apartment was flooded. It took 2 days. Nobody's responding. And I'm talking about nice places too, even in the New Center area, like that. There are so many management companies that don't give a shit, and all they care about is the bottom dollar. They don't. I mean, to me, it's an honor to be able to serve people, to house people. It should be. You should take that seriously. If you don't, you know, the city should shut them down. They should fine them. They should do whatever it takes to make them in compliance.
Right. We have one viewer who says that no one should live on the 21st floor if they're, if they have like my neighbor. So here's the deal, though: you can't discriminate, and so
I agree with Janet. I was thinking exactly what she was thinking.
Because, you know, I've said that too, but I was told, again, I didn't do a flex, but I did make some inquiries, if you will. And I was told that, hey, they wanted to stay on the 21st floor, and we didn't want them to accuse us of discriminating against this individual because of their disability. And I said, that's ridiculous, because if we have a fire, how in the heck is he going to get down 21 flights of stairs?
Right.
How's that going to happen?
What does he do? What happens when the elevators are out? He
stays in.
I guess
he has people. So he has people who assist him, you know, home care workers that come in the system. But he stays in, because I ask, oh, where's my guy? It's like he's in, you know, because he can't. What? They can't even roll him down the stairs. That's crazy to me. That's insane.
Yeah, I agree.
But he wants
a lot of stairs.
He wants the view. He wants to live on the 21st floor, and say he does not want to leave. So, you know.
People have their preferences, I guess, their priorities.
Yeah, it's a lawsuit, but anyway, I'm not going to try to incite anything. But okay, all right. So we're going to go to the.
Not everything ends up in court, Vanessa.
Huh? You said what?
Jim? Not everything needs to get into the courtroom. Not everything needs to get into the courtroom. We don't have to give our lawyers all our money.
You know what? Everything does not have to go to court, and the court does not solve every issue. I'm glad you said that, because the court doesn't right every wrong. We all know that. But in some instances, like Detroit in black and white, our family out there, just us speaking up, I think, makes a difference. You don't have to end up in a courtroom. You could just speak up on Detroit black and white in Deadline Detroit. In your management office, if you live like I live, and say, hey, what the heck is going on here? I put my nose in his business because I talked to his home care workers, and they talked to me, and I'm like, well, look, let me, I went downstairs and I said something. They said, listen, he doesn't want to move. I talked to them. They say he doesn't want to move. That's ridiculous. That is and personally, I think that someone like that probably needs a guardian, because to me, that don't even make sense. But anyway,
and a probate court judge.
I did a story, and actually Adolph had the woman call me. She was living in an apartment building in Corktown, and the owners were really trying to chase everyone out because they wanted to make it more expensive housing.
Oh, I remember that.
And I wrote about it, and I got a hold of the city, and I wrote stories, and the city pushed back as a result of that. I have one of the residents thanks me every Christmas, wishes me a Merry Christmas we were able to keep that building open and get the heat working there,
right.
and all that stuff. And so,
right.
I mean, when I do those kind of stories, I love it that you're helping a whole group of people over, these people are trying to profit off their situation. I mean, it's okay. Eventually you want to change, but they tried kicking out everybody out of the building so they can make, fix it up and make it more expensive. And, we kept the building open, which was great.
Basically put lipstick on a pig, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't a bad building, but they wanted to make it a high-end building. And so affordable. And people are living there.
Go ahead, Jim.
Can we get to our friends?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Good morning, Timothy. Good to see you this morning. TaylorMade Media. Of course, he wants to view as probably quality of life for him. So there's a balance there. Nobody wants to look at an air conditioning unit, especially somebody that may be disabled. Janet has a point. Getting up the stairs, getting up and down in a wheelchair is safety. I agree with Janet. It's just unfortunate that he probably doesn't have much. He doesn't have a chance to get out much, so he enjoys that view, and I do get that. Terry asked for a Pied Piper. I thought we had one, and the rats ate them. That's what I heard. I mean, that's just a rumor. Doubletree Hotel, 6177 Bird. Thank you for joining us. I used to deliver at the dock, and rats were having a good time jumping from trash can to trash can in the hallways as I was delivering. Thank you for that comment. Those rats were running. They weren't running, Kenneth. They were walking and smoking Cools and Newports on guard duty. Well, yeah, that there's a point there, Kenneth. I know you're kidding, but when they take over the building, somebody talked about bringing cats in. I think those rats eat the cats. I don't know. They're pretty big. When's the media involved? The mayor's put on blast to get code enforcement involved and processes start to move. TaylorMade. Thank you. Nothing like recording these rats to get the ball moving on this rat problem. And yeah, thank you to Fox 2 because if Fox 2 wasn't reporting it, nobody would be doing a damn thing about it. We know that. And Marlon said, go get the cat.
Building. It's not the only building, Jim. We know that. It's not the only building. So what is the city, as you said, it's the government. What is the city going to do? They're supposed to do inspections regularly. Okay, they're supposed to do their rounds. What are you doing? What are you doing?
And Deborah said,
on Cass Avenue, right, the Bellcrest Hotel, which is I know people who have lived there, and I don't know if it's gotten better. This was a while ago, but they had a bed bug and cockroach issues and stuff like that. It's like they know it's happening. It's not a secret. I mean, it's on the internet. People are putting reviews about it. And shame on management if they can't address it's not an impossibility. You get an exterminator, and sometimes you have to do some fix up with the infrastructure to plug some holes in the building.
And Deborah said, what did the city do about it? As a senior, I pray to stay in my house till Jesus Christ takes me home. These senior apartments seem to always have the same problem every summer. Thank you, Deborah. We'll say a prayer for your safety too. We appreciate you. We have a lot of our friends out there we're not spring chickens. If you look at, except for Vanessa, we're not spring chickens either, Deborah. And we have to think about, the future, and Detroit you have to fix this, right? You have to fix this, and you have to fix it today. Hello to Mary Kemet. Good to see you. Hazel Park Taekwondo. Most of the buildings, and we know you're down there. Thank you, Hazel Park Taekwondo. I think that's about it. Hamtramck used to have, Kenneth, an awful rat problem. Well, rats are everywhere. Southfield, I remember working in Southfield in the 80s, and I was working midnights. We'd go watch the rats at the Advanced building, if anybody knows where the Advanced building.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Hundreds and hundreds of rats crawling across the concrete, the rocks around the building. We go over there and just watch them. We'd grab some popcorn and take a look over there. So yeah, it's everywhere. But I can tell you this: the senior, I guess I can have them anywhere. But where my mother lived, the people were in there once a week, right? They were checking the building. You couldn't leave food out. You couldn't leave your trash in the hallway. There's ways to do this.
Absolutely.
And it's everywhere, but you need strict regulations in a senior building. And I think that's something go ahead, Alan.
I want to post something here. It says, if you're dealing with a rat infestation in a Detroit apartment building, immediately call your landlord or property manager in writing to request pest control. If they fail to act, call the Building Safety Engineering and Environmental Department, BSEED, at 313-628-2451 to file a code enforcement complaint. And like I say, if they don't respond, then you have the ombudsman's office and whatever, your council member, but you need to respond if you're having problems in your building.
Yeah. One of our viewers said to have a rat problem is one thing, but not do anything about it is a whole other thing. And I totally agree. So we're going to move on to our next subject. Our next subject is Allan, you want to take it? We'll talk about 5 million people who dropped out of the Affordable Care Act because of the budget. You want to go ahead?
Right. So it's there was a report this morning. I was listening on NPR radio where they were saying that 5 million people have dropped out of the Affordable Care Act health insurance plan since January. That the enrollment's down over 20%, and the prices went from affordable to non-affordable. I mean, I think some people were maybe paying $200-300 a month, and then I think now some of it's $2,000 a month or $1,500 or even $800 is a huge increase. And we were talking about this before the show started, and Teresa said that because I said the war they've expended about over $100 billion just in this little war. They said they have no money to help people with healthcare. Yes. The budgets are approved, but, the question becomes, if you approve that much for defense, how about like putting a little balance there and making you think twice about, should we go into this war or should we take care of the people with healthcare? And sometimes you don't have a choice, but when it's a war of choice, you have to think about a little bit more where that money gets allocated. Money's money. It just gets moved around in different budgets. But and that goes to the point that I know a lot of people say it doesn't matter, the election, the elections don't matter, but we see here that elections do matter and it does impact people locally. So
what I'm going to say about the Affordable Health Care Act, when it passed initially years ago, I was really excited about it because I was a divorcee. Two boys, two boys that co-parenting with dad, and now I don't have health care insurance because I've divorced, and so I was really excited about it, right? But when you get them other people that you vote into office, start digging in, as we say when you looking at albums, digging in the crates. It got to the point where I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it years ago. And I remember saying to a friend of mine, if I did not have friends that were doctors, I don't know what I would have done, because at one point in time, I could not afford to pay. And this is before all of this. So it has not been affordable for quite some time, is the point that I'm trying to make. If you're trying to raise your family, keep food on the table, gas in your car, pay your bills, it's not affordable. It's just like when people use the affordable housing. It's as far as I'm concerned, is fluid. And unfortunately, those people that control the budget, they have health care for life. They don't live like us, right? Fortunately, I'm in a much better position than I was when, some years ago. But at the end of the day, who does it hurt? The very same people that you say, hey, vote for me. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to do that. And people vote for them and they do just what the heck they want to do. And they benefit. I mean, they have no what am I trying to say? If you have healthcare insurance for the rest of your life, what difference does it make whether or not Vanessa can afford health care insurance, right? I got it for the rest of my life. I can leave my office and still have health care. If you guys don't believe that that is a problem, then you're a problem. I agree with you, Allan, when you say elections are important, but guess what? Local elections are even more important. Go ahead, Jim.
I want to read a couple comments before I get to my thoughts. Eric Brown, good to see you, Eric. Where you been? The Affordable Care Act is the same word salad as the affordable housing. What about nonprofits stealing from healthcare and overbilling? And that's kind of where I want to go, Marlon. What's affordable, Janet? Overall, great question. And rising deductibles. We need to stop giving welfare queen Israel $4 billion a year. They're able to have free healthcare, and we're paying for it. Tamari, we can talk about where the money's going. Millions are losing affordable health care, paying thousands more because expanded affordable health care tax credits expired, triggering massive premium spikes alongside a new Medicaid work requirement, I think I wonder how many of those that got dropped out voted for the red hat clown, Hazel Park. That's why we prefer to live in a home as opposed to an apartment building, because rats, we're talking about rats again, but we're going to talk about healthcare. Here's the thing about healthcare. All citizens deserve free healthcare, Tamari. It's an American tragedy, all right? We're the richest country in the world. We have the money to take care of healthcare. And like I often say, it's a public-private partnership, and big business should not be charging you $25,000 to get your appendix out, and then Blue Cross offering them $8,000. It's a scam. The whole healthcare system is a scam. I don't know if it's the Affordable Care Act. I don't know what the solution is, but I think it's a private-public partnership, and these big businesses got to quit ripping off the consumer. Because we know if you walk into Corewell Health and say, I need to get my appendix out, but I don't have health care, they're going to charge you $7,000. But if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're going to charge you $27,000. There should be pricing. There should be a price list. When you go to McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger, you know how much it costs. You shouldn't have to go to the hospital and not understand. Go ahead, Allan.
I was going to say, I think it's the opposite. If you don't have health care, it's $27,000. If you do have health care, the Blue Cross and all those companies put a ceiling on what they'll pay for that surgery. I mean, if you get, I had surgery, the bills were so huge. I mean, I didn't pay any of it, but the insurance company, they'd say, here's what it costs and here's what the insurance is paying, which is just a fraction. If you don't have insurance, that's when they charge you the $27,000.
I don't know if that's true. I know there's a lot of situations where they say if you don't have the money, if you go in, there's a lot of treatments now that if you go in and you have no insurance, they will charge you less, right? If you're paying cash for some types of surgeries, I do know people have gone in and said, hey, you don't have anything. Well, we'll charge you $7,000. Blue Cross is going to bill $17,000, and I'm sorry, the hospital is going to bill $17,000, Corewell or Henry Ford, and then it's going to get dropped in half. And then look at your bills when you get them, right?
I look at them. I look at them. The insurance companies put a ceiling on.
But your dermatologist says $500. It's like a lawyer. You're.
Don't insult my. Don't insult.
I'm not insulting anybody.
I'm just.
I was going to go. But here's what happens, right? It's the price that the hospital bills you is never the price that you pay, and it never happens that way, right?
So to your point, Jim and Allan, I'm going to say this. You're absolutely correct. And I don't think it started with the Affordable Health Care Act. Listen, nothing has ever been designed for us, for the people. Okay. It's a big money deal, just like these people own these apartment buildings. We care about the bottom line, how much money we're going to make. Period. The end. And it's really unfortunate because, again, like I said, we put these people in office and they don't give a doggone. I think it is totally and utterly shameful. I think it is ridiculous. You could talk about the war, how much money you spend on the war, but how about these all these other bills that they passed, these pork barrel bills? All of it is ridiculous.
I want to, and this is a little word of advice for people. I had Aetna dental insurance, not realizing usually when your dentist should tell you you're not in network. So I didn't know that because I had Aetna and they were charging me. But because I was not in network, they were charging me top dollar for every procedure. I got coverage, but it was ridiculous. So instead of paying like $1,600 under Aetna because I was not in network, I changed to Delta Dental, and Delta Dental has a cap. I could only be charged $900. So, I was paying almost double. So if you have dental insurance, a lot of people don't have dental insurance because it's never great. They either cover $1,000 or $2,000 per year. And as you get older, you got more dental work going. But you shouldn't, if you're in network, they can't charge as much. So you save a lot. You can get dental coverage for like probably $30, $35 a month through like Delta Dental. And it puts a cap on and it covers your cleanings. And it also puts a cap on how much they can charge for each procedure. So it's worth getting dental insurance, even though people always kind of shun it and say it's a waste of money. It's not.
So let me say this with the healthcare insurance, a lot of times people don't even go to the doctor every day. So they're making money hand over fist in the first doggone place. And when you need to use it, as Jim indicated, it's like a menu. You get the top of the line or you get the bottom of the line. But at the end of the day, I submit that it was never designed for us to be okay. I'm gonna give you an example. I talked to a young lady the other day, and she went and saw a doctor. She had some issues, and the first doggone thing the doctor said to her was, "Oh, we can do surgery. They make a whole lot of money when they do cutting." And I said, "Well, there's some alternatives." And she said, "Well, I asked the doctor about the alternatives," and she asked her, "Well, where did you get this information from? TikTok?" Now, first of all, she should lose her job, the doctor. And I told the young lady, I said, "Listen, a lot of them get paid and they're educated to promote surgeries because you make more money doing surgery." I said, "But I'm going to put you in contact with somebody that is a doctor and somebody that has experienced exactly what you experienced." And she found out that there are, in fact, some medical alternatives to her issue. Again, this is a person, though, who is facing some financial difficulties. So if you don't have money, you just get jacked around, just jerked around. I'm sorry.
I want to say one of our viewers here, Deborah Harris, said they hate Obamacare, not perfectly, but that it should be improved on and made better, but not gutted. I agree with that 100%. Obamacare, the thing with Obamacare is like it did really help really low income people who are sometimes only paying a supplemental of 90 or 130, but the middle class, we're still getting killed in Obamacare. The healthcare costs are still.
Is it Obamacare or is it the healthcare?
Affordable Care Act.
Because to me, when people say Obamacare, and I really they say Obama phone, Obamacare. That's not what it's called. Let's be real. People say that to make it sound bad because it was Barack Obama who did it. And with the phones, that was Ronald Reagan era. So get out of here with that. But
I say
Health Care Act. It is not Obamacare.
I use Obamacare because he was probably my favorite president. I see it as a positive thing. He pushed through something that presidents time and time again had tried to do. It's still it's not perfect. like I say, the middle class are still getting killed in healthcare. The wealthy don't give a shit if they have to pay an extra $1,000 premium or they pay anything out of pocket. And the low income who did benefit, but in between that, so that's where the real improvement still needed to be made. But now the supplement's been taken away for low income, and people can't, this country should be moving toward how do we take care of everyone? Why should people not be able to afford medication? Some of the medications are just so outrageous. If you go to Canada, you can get cheaper meds, although you have to have a doctor there. There's services where you go and a doctor will prescribe that. And then, you still save money, but you have to pay the doctor to subscribe that particular drug. But our healthcare system is so screwed up. I mean, you go to Cuba, prescription drugs are super cheap. In other countries, you don't pay for it. I mean, when I worked at the Detroit News, we had Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was amazing. We had, I didn't pay more than $5 a prescription, and I don't think I ever paid for any procedure. I had a double hernia surgery. I didn't pay a dime for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we talk about Terry made a point of Obamacare is a code word for some folks. Very sad, and I want to talk about that, Terry. That's why we should have socialism-like policies to marry. Janet, overall, thank you, Vanessa. I agree with Allan about Obamacare. It's called the Affordable Care Act. Eric Brown, no matter what you say, if you stop the welfare of Israel and other countries, we can talk. The money's there to marry. No one's going to argue that the money is not there to take care of our own citizens. I agree with you. Please quit calling it Obamacare. Kenneth has dental insurance through Blue Cross, but a PPO plan and the deductions are tough. My job covered medical, dental, and eye care. And I want to go back to the Affordable Care Act for just 1 minute, if I could.
Can we put a pin in because we need to take a break? It's 10:47. Okay. So when we come back, Detroit in black and white, we're going to go to Jim, and Jim is going to state his opinion, his position, etc. Detroit in black and white, our Saturday morning's edition is hot, hot, hot this Saturday.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in black and white. Thank you for joining us on our Saturday morning's edition. When we took a break, we left off with Jim. Jim, go ahead.
I just want to go back to Terry's point. Here's how it works. Since the maybe World War I. I know since World War II, there were politicians, mostly Democratic politicians, who had a good heart that wanted to provide medical care for the people that could not afford it. This goes back 50, 60, I don't know how many years. It goes back a long time, right? At least since World War II. And the president, Barack Obama, was the first president that was able to pass the legislation to get this accomplished. That should have been the start point of the Affordable Care Act, not the finish line of the Affordable Care Act. And what happened was it was gutted by dishonest, bad politicians who followed the company line, the Republican line, whatever line they followed. They didn't stop and think about the impact of their political position. They just followed the right wing or the left wing. In this case, it was the Republicans and the right wing that, going way back. Remember, John McCain saved the Affordable Care Act, right? Was it John McCain, right? Who was a Republican, who had the courage to stand strong and say, no, we're going to do this, right? Because he looked at the potential as a Republican. We have to get away from this. We have to get away from the brainwashing from the left and the right. We have to change the brainwashing. The Affordable Care Act was a great start, and I give the president, kudos. He was the champion to be able to pull this off at all. It should have been the start point. The Republicans and the Democrats needed to get together and resolve this. Instead, they fought it the whole way, and that's why we are where we are. Not because
the insurance companies were involved in lobbying for that. I was going to say real quick again, not to harp, but I always want to help people out if I can. And the dental thing, I had to have 2 implants, and my dentist gave me a estimate with everything, crowns and implants, of $14,000. So $7,000 was for the implants, and then $7,000 for the crowns with all these other abutments or whatever. I went to Canada. I got it for $3,400 instead of $7,000. I changed my insurance from Aetna to Delta Dental, and became I was in network, and so instead of paying $14,000, I paid about a total of $6,400. So my advice is make sure you're in network, but also it's okay to shop around for dental. Some of the dentists charge outrageous things and don't take insurance at all. It's okay to ask for prices. It's a little harder for, when you're looking for a hernia surgery or, a heart surgery or whatever, for shopping around for prices. But definitely for dentists, you should make sure that you're getting a proper price for that. You're not paying outrageous prices. So.
And thank you, Eric, for your point, but you're missing my point. My point is, when you walk in and you give which I just, recently got, you go in and give your Medicare card, you're their best friend, right? You're the doctor's best friend. The government, they've got it organized. They pay. There's no question. They don't have to call Aetna. They don't have to call Blue Cross. Everything's taken care of. I'm going back to what should have happened after the president passed the law. We should have been united. If the politicians were united, they could have accomplished what the president intended to accomplish. I believe that. No one's going to change my mind.
I agree with you, Jim. I agree with you. That was one of the reasons why I lost the sugar. That's the Affordable Health Care Act. It was awesome. Solo practitioner, great. Then, as I said, as the other people got involved and started digging in the crates, it was just no longer affordable. So I agree with you, Jim.
I understand the role of big business, of the medical industry as big business. We all understand that, but the potential was there and it could have worked.
Absolutely. Felicia Dean says, Jim, you are absolutely correct about how the hospital bill, they can find the money. Stephanie Jackson, good morning. Hazel Park takes Taekwondo, says strong armed robbery with these prices. Eric Brown says the same goes for doctor offices and urgent care centers. Kenneth Reese says, what happened to the single payer healthcare proposal? Tamiri says, that is why I'm voting for Abdul Sayed. Deborah Harris says they hate Obamacare. Not perfect, but you already read that, so I don't want to repeat it. Marlon Holt says, what happened to Sonny Huston's husband? Was he convicted or acquitted? I have no idea. You have Taylor Maid. He laughed at the doctor had the nerve to ask this young lady, she's in distress, where did you hear that from? Was it on TikTok? Man, I'm like, get the heck out of here. I was really upset for the young lady, but anyway, she's good now. Kenneth Reed says, I have dental insurance. We already said that. Let's see, who else? Janet said, you're welcome, Janet. Terry McCrimmon says, the affordable health care. Well, you already said that. You already read
Jill
that.
Sheridan.
Yeah, where's Jill at? Jill Sheridan. President Obama didn't mind it. It became known as Obamacare because the haters tried to make it a put down. But since it was somewhat successful, it's a badge of honor to have his name on it. Duela says national health care has is problems. For example, that will put a cap on surgeon salaries, and because the incentive of making money for them will be gone, there will no longer be a wait time for necessary surgeries.
I want to address that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the way the system's set up right now, I think it would take a little bit of time before the incentive for doctors was really more about healing and not about money. There's a lot of countries, that have socialized medicine where the doctors don't get paid really crazy salaries, and not that they're not deserving. I mean, of the whatever salaries they can make, but there might be a point where a little time where you're getting less people going to the medical field. But then a lot of doctors go in because they want to help people, they want to heal people, and it's not about the money. Not every doctor is making big money. Some of the surgeons are,
and not every lawyer is making big money. Jill Sheridan says, what did she say? She says the insurance companies are and have always been the culprit. I find what's interesting is we have people who go into office and they work for the people, and then they become lobbyists, and they are lobbyists for these very same insurance companies that we're talking about, be it auto insurance, be it medical insurance. And people, I'm like, do you live up under a rock? Because if you understand what's going on, maybe you would ask some more questions and make more informed decisions about who you put in these positions.
But here's another point, right? I will just say this, and I want to get into Eric and to Mary's comments too, but call a doctor. Before they ask you your name, they ask you what your insurance is. The first question they ask you, I've called 3 doctors in the last 2 weeks. They don't say, hey, what's your name? What's your issue? What can we do for you? They say, who's your insurance carrier? That's the first question they ask. We're talking about socialism. Tamari and Eric are debating the socialism and Abdul El-Sayed. I get the point, but we're talking about voluntarism, right? You're talking about people volunteering to participate in a community, in whatever you want. Collectivism is what you're talking about, not really socialism, in my opinion. So,
look, even countries that have socialists who have healthcare for all and stuff like that, people who have money, there are doctors who they pay to go, and have their own private and not be part of the system. So
yeah, so if it was good, they would all take part in it, right?
Right.
So apparently, because we're about to wrap up in about 2 minutes, there's conversation to chat about their ballots, and some people are saying that they have not received their ballots yet. I want to say this: my name will not be on the ballot. So if you're looking for my name for the ballot, there is no primary. My name will be on the ballot in November. And I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody about whether or not they've received their ballots yet. But by the time we come back on Wednesday, I'll be able to say whether or not some of my friends have their ballots or not.
Well, TaylorMade said something about Governor Whitmer's father, the CEO. Yeah, we know what happened in Michigan. We know what happened to the catastrophic injuries. We know what they did in Michigan. If it's a whole segment there, TaylorMade. If you have a catastrophic injury and you're in a car crash, you're basically screwed these days. Especially if somebody that hits you that just has Medicaid, $50,000 worth of insurance, you're screwed. You have to fight your own insurance company to get health care. So that's a great point. Focus on your health, Deborah, Duela.
So, Duela says she wants reparation. But Duela, they talking about this person talking about in Detroit. So I'm glad you got your ballot, but this is somebody talking about here in Detroit that they haven't received their ballot yet. And I'm going to ask some of my Detroit, Wayne County friends whether or not they've gotten their ballots yet.
If you
Jim, have you gotten your ballot?
I got it yesterday.
Okay, so all right, okay, so
and you
that's
know what? I probably vote absenteeism. If somebody wants to question, whether I live in the country or whether I'm an illegal or whatever, just come and meet me, because I think the way to get people vote is to vote, especially seniors, people that have jobs and are busy, is an absentee ballot, and it's ridiculous that we would be losing the right to vote by mail.
I think it's ridiculous. Somebody asked me that last night when I was out, and I said, well, I mean, you'll get your ballot now, but you really need to think about moving forward what you're going to do in terms of your voice. Your voice is your vote. So it is 11 o'clock. We've had a very spirited conversation this Saturday morning. Thanks, Allan. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Detroit and Black and White family. We will be back on Wednesday evening at 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. in the evening. We want you all to have a great weekend. Somebody told me about Mackenzie's big bash on Sunday. Let me say this. We have a class reunion that was last night was the meet and greet. Tonight is the banquet, and then tomorrow everybody's going to the big picnic. I had a ball at the meet and greet, but everybody know I love to dance, so I went dancing last night, and I stayed out late, and I guess it did me some good because I had some energy. I told D Love I didn't get in till 2 o'clock in the morning, and I usually don't do that, and my feet, they feel fine. I had a good time.
And that was G Money Hollywood. That wasn't somebody. Sorry.
Okay. G Money. All right. You all have a wonderful weekend. We will be back on Wednesday. Oh, and Eric Brown has joined the show. He has Reality Strikes on Monday evenings from 8:30 to 9:30. If you guys want to watch the show, go ahead and do that. Tamari is talking about reparations. Listen, Tamari, I've reached out to your person's relatives. I've talked to the sister and the mom. So hopefully they'll be coming on soon. We've been texting back and forth just so to let you know. But you do what you do. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Oh, shout out to Lady T. Hey.